Martin, hi, thanks you for joining us. And my first question will be, the Czech government resigned nearly a month after it was appointed. Why it happened? What were the reasons for that?
So the main reason is that Prime Minister Babis didn't negotiate with the other parties about the support of the government. He thought that this is the first attempt, and from the very beginning it was clear that no other parties will join in without great concessions. And because he's new in the politics in the sense that he behaves like the head of the company, which he was for a long time. So he is not willing or maybe able to negotiate with the others. And he wanted to show the others that he is the boss. So from the very beginning, it was clear that this attempt to create a government will fail. Then there are two other possibilities before we will have an option of the early election. So now is the question, how will look like the second attempt to create a government?
Mm-hmm. And what can you say about this scandal around the EU assignations, which is Babis involved in? What the investigation? What is the stage investigation is on?
He, under his leadership, his company, which is now in the trust fund, so officially he is not the owner, that this company misused or accepted money from the EU funds under the conditions which were fabricated, or to put it in the other words, that he made a big company small to be eligible for the funds, and then again he put this small company after receiving the funds back to the big company, which is according to some opinions, for example, opinion of the Olaf, which is the anti-fraud office of the European Union, which might be considered fraud. So and then there is a possibility that those involved, there are 11 people investigated in this case in Czech Republic, that these 11 people could face jail up to maybe 10 years. So for him it's a quite serious situation, but he refuses any blame. That he says there is no fraud and that he was not involved.
And what is the support for Babis party NO? Babis has been in the center of political shake with Sobotka's government. He was also in the center of that scandal.
No, so it doesn't do anything with Sobotka. This is the Babis case from the years when he was the owner of the company and the businessman. So then he entered the politics, and he always says that he wants to govern the country as he was governing the company, which of course is something a little bit different. And what he hates is a kind of say political culture and negotiations and the compromises. He thinks that if he won elections now, that he can do whatever he wants, but he probably doesn't understand well how is it to work with the coalition partners or with the partners in general.
So what do you expect? What will the next government look like? And Babis said that he expects Zeman to elect this new government till February. So what can we wait for?
First, as you said at the beginning, there will be second round of the presidential elections next weekend. There is a possibility that Zeman will win. In that case, Zeman somehow has a kind of pact with Babis that he will nominate him or his person to be prime minister and to try to negotiate with some other partners. Already there are signs that for the second round of the forming of the government, there might be some partners from the other parties willing to join Babis, but if Babis will not be prime minister. And there are signals that maybe Babis is considering this option, even it's against his personal nature, because he is a CEO by nature and he wants to be in the driving seat, not in the back seat. But maybe this Olaf case and the fraud investigation will force him to reconsider his position. If there will be another winner of the elections, Mr. Drahoš, who is in the second round against Mr. Zeman, then Babis has a much weaker position, because Mr. Drahoš said that he will really not nominate him as a prime minister if he is accused. So there will be much bigger pressure on Babis somehow to step back and nominate somebody else for the prime minister's office. But nobody is putting doubt that the Babis party, ANO, is the winner of elections and has a democratic mandate to govern. And nobody's against that. This is really, let's say, the question of a person who is under criminal investigation being prime minister, which sounds weird in the European Union.
And can it deepen this political crisis? Because, as you said, if Dragos wins, he will not nominate Babis for the prime minister. Who can then take this position?
There are some talks. Nobody's confirming anything, but there are some talks that Mr. Babis, who is now Minister for Environment, and he was a deputy prime minister when Babis was forced out of the government almost 1 year ago. So, and he is a trusted person of Babis because all trusted persons in the government now are former employees of Babis from his company Agrofert. So he has a lot of trusted persons to whom he can somehow put the trust of the government into their hands. But as I said, his nature is to be CEO, so he really wants to be CEO in the government, which means prime minister. So it will be kind of a big clash within his own personality. There are, of course, some talks about some other people, but so far, officially, nobody has said anything.
I also want to ask the question about Ukraine because the Czech government, headed by Andrej Babis, recently reassured Ukraine of its support. So, will this support for reforms in Ukraine for territorial integrity remain?
Yes, I think this is not in question. Maybe if Mr. Zeman will win as a president, there will be continuation of this. Let's say more pro-Russian course from the president, but definitely not from the Mr. Dragos if he wins, and definitely the government will keep the position as it is and as it was in the last years.
And talking about Russia, can it use this political shake in Czechia? Can it somehow benefit from it?
Yes, it can benefit from uncertainty, and as we are seeing now in the campaign that the pro-Russian or suspiciously pro-Russian sources are supporting Mr. Zeman, are trying to dehonest Mr. Dragos in the campaign. So we see there are clear Russian interests in play. And I think that what's in general working for Russia is that if the uncertainty about the Czech politics and the course of the Czech politics in the future will be put in doubt. So if Mr. Dragos wins and if we will have a government with a clear mandate, then it will be, to put it simply, against the Russian interests.